How are you? I'm fine. How are you? Hi, Janice. I've been meaning to call you. But the phone is right there. And I do something else. But I was thinking about. Oh, yes, or whatever. You're like our
Are you here? Namanda, Samanda, Namanda, 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 Samanda, Samanda. Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's great to see all of you here for our September memorial service on Shotsuki Hoyo. But also today is this month of September, we observe Ohigan. So today is our Ohigan service, which is the fall equinox that we celebrate twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall. So we'll be talking more about that later. But to open today's service, I'm going to ask our minister's assistant, David Correa, to share with us an opening reading.
Good morning, everyone. Please join me in Gasho. The wish to save all beings is the wish to carry them across the great ocean of birth and death. It is the aspiration to bring all beings to the attainment of supreme nirvana. It is the heart of great love and great compassion, which arises from the wisdom of immeasurable light. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Thank you, David. And now we'd like to ask you to join us in the sutra chanting, beginning with the Sambujo on page 23 in the large purple service book. This will be followed by a dedication reading, and then the Sambutsuge on page 78. Today on this occasion, the Watsonville Buddhist Temple or Higan, follow Higan service and September Shotsuki Hoyo. The members of the Sangha have regularly come before Amida in memory of their beloved family members. With deepest reverence and thankfulness for the all-embracing wisdom and compassion of Amida, reaffirm the three harmonies. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Kia Boots, Namo Kia Ho, Namo Kia So, Namo Satsu Arya Yagya Ogen Li Yijin Megakanya Ze Enya Aya Toshan Ichigatsumani Yugo Enya Kai Shitsunpe Nyangje Moknya Rai Yogen Yose Murin Shogak Dayan Ho de Ji Po Kai Mon Shou Jin San Mai Ji Ye Ki To Ge Me Dio Sư Xiao Ke Wu Jin Tai Sen Nen Cho Bu Zi Ho Kai Ge Jin Jin No Vô Cái Tai Mơ Myo Yo Ge Ne Son Yo Mơ Nin No Shi Shi Jin Tao Ge Mơ Dio Ge Kung Go Lai Di Jin Yo Gom Yo Yi So Shin Do Dai Sen Tang Ga Sa Bu Zi Dai Xiao Ho Ga Do Shou Ji Ji Bu Ge Da Zi Bu Se Jiu Wei Ai Nen Xiao Jin Yo Ze San Mai Ji Ye Gi Jiao Go Se To Ge Bu Zi Ge Yo Shi Gan Ni Sai Ge Ge Yi Sa Dai An Ge Shi Ge Bu Zi Ge Sen No Ge Man Dio Dai Xiao Shi Dio Go Jia Ge Yo Yi Sai Shi Do Xiao Bu Zi Ge Yo Ge No Hen Xiao Ge Ya Ge Yi Yo Go Jia Xiao Ge Se Gai Ge Ge Ka Ge Ge Shi Se Zi Do Gom Yo Xi Xiao Hen Xi Xiao Ge Ge Yo Ze Xiao Jin Yi Jin Nan Yo Yo Ga Sa Bu Zi Ge No Dai Ye Cho Shi Ki Miao Cho 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 Ze Zi Ge Yo Nai Yan Ni Mơ Do So Ka Do Ai Men Yo Da Zi Yi Sai Jie Po Lai Xiao Xin Da Zi Xiao Jiao Yi Do Ga Do Ge Ye Da Ge An Long Do Ge Xin Yo Ye Na Xin Xiao Zi Gan No Hi Yi Xiao Xiao Yo Jie Po Se Son Ji Ye Me Ge Jiao Liao Xi Son Ji Ga Xin Yo Ke Liao Xin Xi Xiao Ge Do Ge Jiu A Liao Xiao Jian Nin Jiu Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you. I'd like to now read the names of families observing Memorial in the month of September. As I read your family name, please come forward and burn incense. For Utaro Akiyama, for Hisae Aramaki, for Takanori Rao, for Hio Rao, for Noichi Arita, for Yoshiteru Fuji, for Frank Fujita, for Fumi Hamada, for Kichiro Hane, for Rintaro Hatsushi, for Henry Akio Higaki, Kazuna Higaki, for Bill Hirano, for Kenji Hidemoto, for Chisako Itamura, for Toshiharu Ito, for Kiyoichi Iwamuro, for James Izumizaki, for Katsukiyo Kadotani, for Yasu Kimoto, for Masao Joe Koda, for Mitsuno Koda, for Keiichi Kodama, for Alice Ayako Kondo, for Hiroshi Kurosaki, for Kajizo Kusumoto, for Unotsuke Kusumoto, for Larry Mametsuka, for Kojiro Mano, for Miteru Mano, for Sayoko Mine, for Haruko Margaret Mio, for Don Kiyoshi Mitani, for Sally Mitani, for Fushi Murakami, for Haruo Muranaka, for Asa Nagata, for Nakayo Nakamoto, for Shoso Nakamoto, for Ito Nishimoto, for Kinu Nishio, for Suteichi Nishita, for Helen Nita Nito, for Tadao Okamoto, excuse me, for Fred Oda, for Goichi Ota, for Zenichi Ota, for Grant Sakai, for Kihachi Saiki, for Seigo Sakai, for Maxine Shibata, for Shiotani, for Kojiro Tanaka, for Masako Tanimasa, for Sentaro Tao, for Yuki Torigoe, for Ernest Buddha, for Grace Wada, for Michiko Wada, for Tinoe Wada, for Katsushi Wakamiya, and for George Iwao Yamamoto. And if there are families who are observing a memorial in this month of September, and your names or family names are not on this list, I invite you to come up and burn incense. And if I could ask Tad to come up and represent families who could not be here today. Thank you. This time I'd like to ask you all to please rise and join me in the Gata Shinang Sama. It's on page 240 of the large purple symbol. Soyokaze wataru asa no mano tataraku te no mina asetsu Thank you. If you'll please remain standing for the reading of the Threefold Refuge on page 10.
The Threefold Refuge. Difficult is it to receive a human form, now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the Dharma of the Buddha, now we hear it. If we do not cross over to the truth in the present life, and what life shall we cross over? Let us with sincerity and true reverence take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we, together with all sentient beings, awaken to the great way of enlightenment and to the unsurpassed intent of Amida Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we, together with all sentient beings, enter the storehouse of the Dharma, becoming like the wisdom ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we, together with all sentient beings, become units in true accord and harmony with all things. The fearless, profound, and wondrous Dharma is rare to encounter, even in many hundreds and thousands of kalpas. Now we are privileged to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Dharma. Namo Buddhaya. Thank you, baby.
Thank you, David. And once again, I'd like to ask you to please join me in Dasho. Though we lack both disciplinary practices and wisdom, together we can cross over the painful sea of birth and death by boarding the ship of Amida's vow. Upon crossing over to the shore of the recompensed land, the dark clouds of evil passions will be instantly cleared away, and the enlightened moon of Dharma will quickly appear. Then we shall become one with the light, unhindered in the 10 quarters, and shall benefit all sentient beings. Then and only then can we say that we are enlightened. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you. Once again, good morning, everyone. It's great to see all of you here this morning. I'm so happy that we are now able to open up our temples, and we just decided recently that we can have full capacity here. So today I expected 100 people, but that's okay. Those that are there, we have quality people. So this is great. And I appreciate you, hearing the chanting and hearing the singing is really wonderful for the temple alive. And I appreciate your patience as I did my best karaoke of the Shinran song, the Shinran Sama. I love that song because it talks about how Shinran and you and I, we're all one. And this quote I started with is from Shinran Shonin. And as I read the quote, I've read it many times over, but as I read it again, I come to the realization that Shinran was intimately connected to nature, that he was, we can imagine him 700-800 years ago, watching the moon, watching the rain, watching the change of seasons as time goes on. And so he was this quote that I shared with you, he talks about the moon, he talks about the water, he talks about being on a ship crossing the ocean. He talks about the sea of birth and death. All of this is related to nature and to the world around him that he was seeing. So this is Ohigan that we're observing besides our Shotsuki. And Ohigan is one of the unique Japanese Buddhist holidays. It's only celebrated in Japan. It's celebrated in the spring, the equinox, and in the fall, around the middle of September. And this is a time when the seasons are in change. In the spring, the cherry blossoms are starting to bloom. In the fall, the colors of the leaves on the trees are beginning to change. And so for the Japanese in particular, they saw this change occurring in nature, but also they saw a harmony in nature. The day and night were of equal length. It was neither too hot or too cold. The sun rose directly from the east and set directly in the west. And so this sense of harmony in nature was all around them. And that's why Ohigan is celebrated as a Japanese holiday in Buddhist traditions. So this time of year, when we start to see, I wrote this article in my last newsletter. I won't ask you how many of you read it, but the article I wrote about was about, how I always talk about harmony at Ohigan. But when we look around the world today, it's not very harmonious. Right? The wildfires, the heat, the cold, the lack of rain, the drought, all of this is not what is harmonious in nature. And yet, there are days like today that it's pleasant. The weather is good. It's a good time to think about harmony in our lives as related to nature. So the tradition of Ohigan is a time to understand not only harmony, but also to see the changes that are occurring in nature. That there's fleeting moments, right? Shotsuki is about passing of our loved ones and those fleeting moments between life and death. But also, Ohigan is about that. As we see the changes, and pretty soon you'll see the trees start to change colors. So traditionally, we talk about what's called the 6 paramitas at Ohigan. And 6 paramitas are selfless sharing, patience, effort, discipline, meditation, and wisdom. So these are the 6 paramitas. These are the 6 things that I don't practice. Okay, I'm a living example of what 6 paramitas does not live in me. Okay, I don't share. I'm very selfish. I don't have patience. I do things haphazardly. I have no discipline. I don't like to meditate, and definitely not wise. So a living example of what the opposite of 6 paramitas. So if you think about yourself and these 6 practices, it's really hard to do, especially on a constant basis. Okay. How many of us can selflessly share when it comes, just as an example, when it comes to food, when it comes to dessert? We want that dessert. And sharing is, well, maybe we share a little bit, but we don't want to share the whole thing. We want to make sure at least more than half is for me. So this is a difficult practice. And patience. I lose my patience on the road, as everybody knows. Right. For the past 15 years, I've been trying to lose weight, and I have no discipline. I think I should start eating better. I should start exercising more. I should start doing this. And I'll do it for a couple days, then I give up. And I start eating again all this stuff I'm not supposed to eat. So I don't lose weight. So I don't have no discipline at all. So how many of us, can really practice these things? How many of us can be truly patient with our family members all the time? outwardly, we may seem to be very kind and loving as a couple, but how much patience do we have with each other? How much patience do you have with your children? How much patience do you have with your family and your friends? With yourself? So these are difficult practices, these things. And I'm not saying we shouldn't try. I'm not saying we shouldn't give a little bit of effort on these things, but we have to come to the realization how difficult it is to do these practices. Now in Jodo Shinshu, we say these practices are something that we are the recipients of. The Buddha, he's already perfected all of these 6 paramitas. So that's the beauty of being Jodo Shinshu. We don't have to do it. The Buddha's already done it. But in the form of our family and our friends, the Buddha manifests these qualities, and we are the recipients of that. So our wives, our husbands, our kids, our friends, our teachers, they are all practicing these paramitas for our benefit, towards us. Very famous teacher named Kaneko Daie said that the moon, the sun, they shine on me. I am the recipient of that light. I am the recipient of that light and that warmth. So when we think about our lives as Jodo Shinshu Buddhists, we should think about all that we are receiving, not how much we're being patient with others or how much we're sharing with others, but how much others are sharing with us. How much more so people are being patient with me. So we're the recipients of this. So my wife is very patient with me. She accompanies me everywhere I go. She was kind to me. She was generous to me. And yet I complain. So my friends too, the Sangha too, the temple, all are supportive of me and caring about me. And so I am the recipient of all of this great wisdom and compassion. So our founder, Shinran Shonin, he was really incredible in his thinking as he looked at the world. He realized that his idea of awakening is best described by this Japanese word, wataru, which happens to be in this song that we just sang. It means to cross over, but it doesn't mean that we physically ourselves cross over to the other shore of enlightenment. Wataru means that something is pulling us, grabbing us and pulling us across to that other shore. So all of our efforts by ourselves can't get us across that shore, but it's the efforts of the Buddha, of our family, of our husbands and wives and friends and others that are pulling us across. It's pulling us to that destination of the pure light. And this is something that we must cross over, something that we need to overcome. There's something that pulls us over. We must cross over our anxieties, our effort to do it ourselves, but to rely on the Buddha. So there are many obstacles in life. As we get older, as we think about wanting to be accepted, wanting to be liked, wanting to be understood, the fear of being alone, of wanting to be alone sometimes, the constant anxieties over money and job, and food, family, all of these things are the anxieties that create this, what Shinran called in this beginning quote here, the painful sea of birth and death. But he said it's the Nembutsu, Namu Amida Butsu, that pulls us across to that other shore. And he uses this idea of the crossing over as being like sailing on water. It's easy. And all we have to do is rely on the Buddha and recite the Nembutsu. And then we shall become one with all beings. We shall become one with the Buddha. And then we can say we are enlightened. So on this day of Ohiga, we are reminded of the harmony in nature. We're reminded also of our own difficulty in practicing, but turning things around, looking at the world differently, and saying that we're the recipients of so much wisdom and compassion. And in response to that is now more medals. Thank you very much. Please join me in that show. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Now I'd like to invite David Correa up again, once again, to share with us the meaning of the Moon Show by Daniel Show.
Shinran Shonin taught that the essence of Jodo Shinshu is Shinji. The reason is that by abandoning all of the practices and completely entrusting ourselves in the Mida Buddha, our spiritual rebirth is assured by Mida through the inconceivable power of the primal vow. This is known as entering the ranks of the truly assured at the very moment of Shinji. Thereafter, all utterances of the Nembutsu should be understood only as expression of gratitude for Mida's assurance of our spiritual rebirth. With reverence, I remain. Namo Amida Butsu.
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 Namo. Thank you, David. Before we close, I want to make a few just one announcement, really. Next Sunday, September 18th, the service will be live streamed from Monterey. There will not be an in-person service here next week. I have scheduling issues and our minister's assistants aren't available, so there'll be no in-person service here next week. Okay. But it will be live streamed on the YouTube Thai Temple YouTube site. And then on the 25th, the same thing will be live streamed from Salinas. So the next service here in person will be on the first Sunday in October, which will be Shotsuki. And now I'd like to ask you to join me in the Gatha, rise and join me in the Gatha on Nook Psalm 2 on page 220. And we'll have a closing reading by Sister Korea.
The light of wisdom exceeds all measure, and every finite living being receives this illumination that is like the dawn. So take refuge in the Mida, the true and real light. Namo Mi Butsu.
Namo Amidabutsu.
Namo Mi Butsu.
Namo Amidabutsu.
Namo Butsu.
Namo Amidabutsu.
Thank you, may be seated.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank David Greer today for his assistance, and this will conclude our September Shotsuki Hoyo service today and our Okinawan service. Thank you very much for your attendance. If you haven't had a chance, you're welcome to walk on the Shoko. Oh, and I'm being reminded that there's strawberries that are being handed out.
Announcement.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Just to remind everybody that October 14th, we are having a fundraiser with Panda Express. So if you could order online, only online, or we also have offered to our seniors or anybody else, if they order, we have a seat choice, and you can pick up at the church, or we can help deliver to your place. That's for your convenience. Otherwise, please tell your friends and family they could order throughout the US or anywhere that has a Panda Express, but you have to use the code that it's up in the web. And there's suppliers in front. So please, you can order, especially your students or friends and sons that are anywhere, order online. And then, okay, but if you go and order there, we will not get the credit. So please, it's only online. And seniors, everybody else, we are doing the service if you pick up or to deliver.
Thank you, Joanne. So please grab a flyer as you leave for the Panda Express fundraiser. And also there are strawberries in the lobby. So Tad and Joanne are giving out. So please, thank you, Tad and Joanne. Any other announcements? Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Good morning.